boom, you know what? Hey!
And boom, look, Santa Claus
Boom!
is here.
Here.
Boom!
Actually, we do have a hat that he could put on for us here this morning.
Talked about cookies and cakes, and then see what happens? Boom.
It's Oneida County Executive Anthony Picente joining us in studio. Look at that. How are you, sir?
Good morning. Good to be here.
And have the coffee ready
Happy
for
holidays.
you.
Happy holidays.
Merry
Have
Christmas.
a cookie. Go ahead.
Have a cookie.
You didn't even need them
Cookie.
yet.
Oh, they look good.
A Santa hat, if you like, if you want to put
Santa
that on.
hat, well, I'll pass
yeah.
on that for now.
Where are you in the Christmas shopping? Continuing.
Finishing.
Finishing.
Kind of, I mean, today, tomorrow. I mean, got till Christmas Eve.
That's funny.
I mean,
Actually,
that's when you really get in the spirit. If you go do it, I mean, I admire people who do it months and weeks ahead of time, but I never been there.
see, if you put it off,
I have no idea what that's like.
yeah, if you put it off until now, you don't have to deal with it.
Well,
I like the way you're
and
thinking.
it narrows your decision
Yes,
making.
it
So
does.
you're not saying, "Oh, should I get this? Should I get that? Should I get this? That looks good. I'll get it for Jay." And that's it.
That's-
and I'm
I'll
done.
take
and
it.
We're done.
Cookies,
And so no, but I think it's also the spirit gets you even closer to the day. But,
Well, yeah, but it's not. I think part of it is the weather.
The weather,
We
it
talked
really
about
is.
it earlier. The retail sales are down quite a bit this year.
I know, and I worry about that, obviously, from our perspective,
Right.
on
Yeah.
sales tax
Sure.
and all that. But, yeah, and I believe in White Christmas, so I'm a little disappointed with all my decorations
Go
this
up
year
north.
that they're not looking. Yeah, I know. Move to Boonville.
Yeah, but even up
and
there,
even
it's
up
gonna
there.
it's gonna be a
It's
green.
going to warm.
It's gonna wash out.
It's going to warm up. And,
Yeah.
So anyway.
Yeah. Well, so what about a run for a congressional seat on your Christmas shopping list there, Mr. Picente?
Well, it's something that I'll do a lot of thinking over the next several weeks, probably, or at least. First of all, Richard Hanna is a great friend and has done a great job, I believe, and I've worked very well with him, and I wish him well. I hoped he was going to run again. I really believed that, and had he gone forward, I'd have been right in his corner as I was the last time, supported him, and look forward to that. But he's made a decision that I respect, and I think everybody needs to, and given the circumstances. It's about family, it's about his time and everything else, and he's entitled to that clearly. And so, given that, I just think that it's something to give consideration to, given what's been taking place, and my concern about who does fill that seat going forward, and that it needs to be, someone in the same mold as the guys that were there previously, and we've had the last three. One of them, Sherry Bollard, who is a great friend, and another political mentor from way back. Mike Arcuri did a great job, and Richard. So we need to have that kind of person. No matter what party, I think well, that'll be decided by the voters, but we need to put someone up that demands that kind of respect, but also can go down there and work in the best interest of the region, and not one side or strictly one view. That can be open-minded and really look at the big picture, and that's why I want to give it some thought. I think given those circumstances and given what's been happening here. I want to take a look at it, or at least give it serious consideration. Talk to my family. There's a lot of considerations here. It's a different type of campaign, obviously. That there's no guarantee. There's a process that you have to go through, and it's several counties. It's not just one. So
you mentioned your family commitment is the big part. I think.
Commitment is, and unlike the current congressman, unlike Richard, I don't have children, so that makes it a little easier. But,
Right. Sure.
But my wife and I enjoy our time doing things, and I'm relatively a homebody at times. She'll tell you I like to stay there, and so. But with friends and family, it is a big decision because it's different than what I'm doing now, and this is a solid commitment. And I'm in a job I love, so that's why it's a decision that'll take some time really look at all the pros and cons, and then make a decision sometime after the first of the year.
Catching folks up here, Congressman Richard Hanna deciding not to run for re-election for that seat in the 22nd District, and Mr. Picente in with us this morning. Some other names have been thrown out there. Joe Griffo says he's considering it. Anthony Brindisi says he's considering it. And, of course, Claudia Tenney is already in. Now, do you use their decisions to help formulate your own decision, or is this something you decide independently, Anthony?
Well, I think, first of all, you have to decide independently whether it's something you want to go forward with, and that's where the personal decisions come into play in terms of family and supporters and friends and yourself. Everybody talks about, I've been in this business for a number of years. I've only run for one office, and this is my third time, starting my third term. That's unprecedented in Oneida County history in terms of an executive.
You've done well as an executive,
and I appreciate that, and I like, and I as I said, I enjoy it, and I like what I'm doing.
And you've held the position as county executives for the state
association.
Yep.
I've been fortunate to lead the Association of Counties, the County Executives Association, working on this new sports facility association. So those are things that I enjoy and like that aspect of this and the ability to move forward on things. So there is having been in the business, there is that fire. You really have to, because you just can't go at it half-baked and not engaged to 110%, because it's a grind. So that's the first decision. The second decision is, as a member of the Republican Party who does do that, if I don't and if others don't, and that becomes a concern, because I really believe that it needs to be someone, again, in what we've had in that office in the past, someone who can reach across party aisles, who can work with people, who's not just going to yell no just for the sake of it, and who's not going to just be there to rattle cages. And no is not a strategy. No is not a policy.
Right.
It's about getting things done. And yes, you do have to vote no. I get that. I mean, I'm not in the legislative branch. I'm on the executive side, and I get that because I work with the legislature each and every day, and they have varied opinions, and I get that. But it's about moving the ball forward and keeping your eye on the ball. And it's not about, the last thing that I think the country wants and the region wants now is someone divisive.
And sticking maybe with Dave's question a little bit,
Sure.
do you have that conversation with Joe Griffo and Anthony Brindisi?
Sure. I think, look, we talk all the time anyway, and there's other names in there. I know that Michael Backus up in Oswego County. I know Mike. He's a good guy, and he's a strong advocate for the same things.
Another Republican.
Ray Meyer, his name is mentioned again.
Caitlin Bertini, I think.
Catherine Bertini out of Portland.
Yep.
I mean, there's some interesting names out there and strong names out there. And again, it's got to come down to, there is a process. We've got to take a look at that before you even, you got to make a decision to get into that process, first of all, and then go through the weeds. But I think that we've, the people in this, at least the core group of those of us who have worked together can work together in deciding, who goes forward, and that would be a good thing.
Well, Claudia challenged Richard Hanna in the last primary.
Sure.
I think she did fairly well in the numbers. I think part of what hampered her ability there, maybe time. The time in which she decided to run and jump in the race. You mentioned, some factors kicking around, family. Sure. Do you have an idea, maybe a time frame, if you were to finally consider when it may be?
Probably sometime in January, I would say, or for early February. I don't want to, it's not something I want to rush into, and then you got to look at all these other pieces, and considering that it's something that, again, is not just in Oneida County, so it's reaching out to the other counties and those chairmen and those people there, and friends and other electeds and other people that are politically engaged, all the way down to Broome County to see what the lay of the land is and whether or not there's interest. So that's why it's a little more of a detailed process. It's not something that you just decide. I mean, you can decide, I suppose, to just jump in, and people have done that. But I think this one, given that it's again, goes back to being an open seat in which a completely open seat in which there is no incumbent on either side. I think those are the other races that make it a little bit more defined. If there's an incumbent, you want to challenge that person, then it's one thing. But if there's an open seat in this regard, it's a whole new ball game, because it's not. No one is is completely, just blessed with the endorsement.
Sure.
As someone like Richard would be, and
Right.
I wholeheartedly had no reason to believe otherwise, that Richard would have been again the endorsed candidate of those counties and move forward as the candidate from the Republican Party. So that all changes now. It's open season.
It's 9:11 on the Talk of the Town. We're talking with Oneida County Executive Anthony Picente on the Talk of the Town at 100.7 FM WUTQ. You mentioned the association to promote the sports facilities statewide, and obviously the OD has undergone quite a renovation and rebirth here under your leadership and the rest of the committee there. Why the need for this association now to promote the rest of the facilities statewide?
Well, we got talking, people like Rob Esch and some of my other friends in Albany and Dutchess County executive, a guy by the name of Mark Molinaro and others, and that have sports facilities and have teams that are affiliated with major league teams of that nature, whether it be it hockey or baseball or it really makes it something that years ago, I remember many years ago, there was a stream, a mechanism for sports facilities that was a part of economic development on the state level, and that faded away as things faded and money issues changed in terms of budgets and what have you.
Then we got Joe Bruno Stadium.
Well, yeah,
Sorry.
I know, but and that's how many years ago we were able to do what we did at Murnane Field, Donovan Stadium. So we got talking with some of my other friends around the state and said, look, there really should be an organization, because there is a strong economic impact to these venues, and nowhere is it clearer than what has happened in Utica with the Comets over the last 3 years, and the economic injection that it has placed in this entire region, and clearly for the city of Utica, for Oneida County, but people from all over come to those games. And then when you have the AHL All-Star game, and now this year or next year, and just some days away when we change the calendar in January, that event's going to take place in Syracuse, just down the road. So there's another one, the Crunch, that facility, and talking to Joni and the people out there. So it's really a point of how do we best leverage the dollars that are available to enhance those stadiums, but more importantly, how do we work together to attract other aspects of the venue, like the AHL All-Star Game, like the All-Star Games for whether it's baseball. You have Buffalo, you have Syracuse, you have Binghamton. So looking at all these facilities, it really made sense to put an organization together to be able to lobby, but to also be able to collaborate together and look at other things that can be done. Stadiums are not just used for baseball or hockey. In the case of the OD, it's concerts. It's
sure.
Can we partner better together, and can we look at ways, and with the Oneida Nation as well, looking at that as a piece of venues that can work together.
Now, this would not include the private sports facility that's being proposed for the neighborhood in the OD, correct?
Well, it depends on what it depends on whether or not we seek, or whether it's something that state funding or different funding can. But it's still tied to the OD in that regard, if it ever comes to fruition, and it could be something that again could be enhanced by this group in terms of the connectivity between venues. I think that's really it looks at they are economic drivers, and the same way that we would invest and focus on other aspects of our government for economics in terms of business, it is a business. And we have organizations for businesses, we have organizations for counties, for towns, cities, etc. We should have it for sports facilities.
And you think your past success here at the Odd catapulted you into this position?
I think I had some friends who said you got to just coming off of as the president of the Association for Counties, they said, would you take it for the as they coined it in the release for the rookie season. So I said sure, and we have a great. I think we have probably the best story to tell because we had an auditorium that was without. Heaven help us if we didn't have Utica College because that Odd would have probably been shuttered.
Yeah.
But the injection that Utica College made and continues to make, and that's the other aspect of it. How do we engage more on the collegiate and the other the scholastic side, and whether it's whatever division we can to continue to inject into facilities. So we have I think a great story to tell in terms of a facility that was on the brink, and but for Utica College was gasping for air.
Yeah, Gary Heenan did a great job with
he did a phenomenal job, and Todd you look at it and say if they weren't there the last several years before the Comets, that Odd would have really. Who knows? Would it have been shuttered? Would it have been demolished? Would it have been just another eyesore? And it's not. It's thriving. It's improved, and it's adding greatly to the economic growth.
You mentioned your colleague in Onondaga County, Joni Mahoney, a few minutes ago.
Sure.
She got a nice raise there. It's caused quite an uproar there, Anthony, in that market.
It has. It's one of those. There's never, I said it's a bad time to give elected officials
Christmas
a raise.
bonus, huh?
It's never a good time to give an elected official a raise. Unfortunately, we live in that bubble that. On one hand, people think, okay, the salary is it, and it should be it for life. And on the other, it's that, look, it still is a full-time job, and it does require some accommodation in terms of movement of salaries like other people. Now, I've been on both sides, but I've always believed that you don't increase your salary during your term. So.
Can't offer you an increase. I can offer you a cookie here, Tony.
I might take the cookie.